Hey y'all, welcome to the Moving with Millennials podcast with your favorite millennial realtors.
We are 4 top producing agents in the DFW area, and we are ready to share the good, bad, and the real life of real estate.
Whether you're thinking about getting into real estate, already an agent, or just curious about what your agent really does, join us.
Tune in every Wednesday to see what it's really like to be on this side of the transaction.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Moving with Millennials. Today we are going to talk realtor etiquette.
Yeah,
yes,
so
this is
I
a
think
big one.
Yeah, definitely. I think realtor to realtor, and then maybe also like realtor and client etiquette, just a little bit. We're gonna touch on that. Yes,
Definitely.
And I think this is big because, you get your real estate license, you go through school, and they teach you nothing. Well,
Nothing.
how to not get sued.
How to
Yes,
not get
also
sued,
important.
and a little bit of contracts. And then when you get into your brokerage, they even teach you like how to get clients and
how to open a lockbox.
Yeah, things like that. But then you start to no one ever really talks about like realtor etiquette. Like they do mention some of it, but I think you start to kind of, as you're doing business, you start to realize like there is kind of an etiquette to different things.
And you realize after you're working with other agents, you're like, why? Like, this is not like how I would want to work. You know, like.
I also think it's important, like we have a code of ethics for realtors, but it's almost more that is like more client based, like your duties to the client. A lot of the ethics for realtors is not really even realtor to realtor kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so I think that's also interesting as well.
I learned, like Maggie kind of touched on that, but it's like I learned like early on where I was working with another agent and something would happen if I'd get frustrated or something with that agent. Then it's like, wait a minute, I will probably run into this agent down the line. If I plan to be in this business long term, I'll probably run into him again. So just
well, and we've joked about
together.
like having like a blacklist basically of like agents where we had
Sometimes you do.
no people that have had bad experiences with them, to where it's like if I had a client that if it was a buyer that was interested in that listing, of course I would still show the house, but I would say like, hey, from either my experience or from another agent's experience, this was, the interaction. So we have to know that going into that.
And it's not usually because like a deal goes sour or south, because that happens. Things fall through. Buyers can't get financing, whatever it is. But it's how does that agent handle the situation that makes a big difference.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So we've kind of broken it down into some categories. So I guess like during like showing houses, we'll go over that one first. So you want to like hit that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's kind of obvious, but like show up on time, right? Your clients are hopefully meeting you there on time. You want to be on time. Even if your clients are late, you want to be on time. And so, of course, things happen, and it's okay, but make sure you're communicating with your client if you're going to be a tad late and let them know. I also want to say, like, you should always have, like, notes ready to answer questions. So I don't actually print out. I know some agents will print out all of the houses they're going to see.
Poor trees they're killing.
I know, all the trees.
I used to do that, but now
and I just don't, sometimes when we schedule, I don't have time to go print it. So what I do is I bring my iPad, or I at least have my phone, bare minimum, and I pull that listing up before we even walk in the door so I can answer square footage questions, anything to remind myself. So.
I email myself like the full display from the MLS. I email all the showings. I email all those to me.
Right,
so it's, then I do have to log on to MLS if I need to like look up tax or something else, but at least like I have the full display.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I usually review like before we even go see it. Of course I'm reviewing, but if I'm going to go show 4 houses, sometimes it's a lot
you
to
don't have time to
remember all the details.
It just gets jumbled up. So I think also with this, I always show up and drive the neighborhood too. That way you can see the amenities, you can see when your client asks, is there a pool, where is it? You kind of know that.
You're familiar.
That's just another way to serve your clients. Not really etiquette, but...
Absolutely. I think it is.
Yeah, definitely.
The next one that's important for showings is following the directions for showings. And we don't mean like following directions on how to get to the house.
Yeah.
But for agents, you should all know that once you schedule a showing, even in the MLS and in the showing app where we schedule it, there are typically directions. They usually say don't mess with HVAC, lock all doors, either don't turn on lights or turn off lights, whatever it is. But whatever those instructions are, you should follow those. And sometimes it's take off your shoes. And like, I learned very quickly on that it's like, oh, my socks better match, or, whatever it may be.
I know, I hate it.
Exactly. It's like that kind of stuff that it's like, I better be in socks and I'm okay walking around a house that I'm not familiar with. So I think it's just like important to follow all those rules.
And like some sellers are like adamant about all the lights being turned off or leaving them on, or doors open, don't close any doors. With that being said, I mean like bedroom doors, but like I had a seller that the dogs were not crated and they were in the garage, and we had it in the showing instructions on MLS and through the Showing Time app. I had a sign on the door, and still people would open the garage door. So it's like, we even put a sign.
That
it's just,
maybe
like,
would have made me want to open it if it was like dogs inside him and like, we're
Well,
going in,
I
guys.
know, it's just, like, little things like that. Like, it's like, why are you following directions?
Yeah. That may
Yeah.
have been me.
Kind
No,
of
I'm just
a,
kidding.
that's kind of a
It is a big deal 'cause
safety, because what if the
you don't
dogs
know.
are not friendly?
It
Yes.
totally is a safety thing for sure.
I do love
And-
seeing a friendly dog.
Oh,
on a show
same.
like that.
I know.
And with cats though, because if the cat gets out, then you
Yeah.
might
Oh,
never get
gosh.
the cat back. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is important to listen to those.
Instructions.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then- yeah,
and
go ahead.
even like on that note, like closing the door behind you, if you walk outside of the backyard, close
Yeah.
that door, because you don't know if a cat, should be a note about it, but if something gets
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Make sure the doorknob does not lock behind you.
Oh,
Yes.
I
yeah.
had this happen
Oh,
the other day,
shoot.
and luckily, but it was one that like
That
turned.
You
It-
couldn't
it- you
tell
thought.
it was
And
locked.
so until
yeah.
you close the door behind you, and you're like,
That happened to me.
Yeah.
Question: are you agents that carry the key around the entire time, or are you agents that leave the key somewhere?
I
Like
knew-
once you open the door.
I knew they were stacked showing, so it was already back in the door. So I just walked around to the front of the house, got the key, went back in.
It depends. Usually there's like overlapping showings, so I don't really care like where the key is. But-
if there are not overlapping showings, I am the agent that will
That
lose
locks the
it.
door?
No, I do lock the door.
I do
yes.
too.
But I also am the agent that will lose anything in my hand.
Yeah.
So I put the key back in the little holder
And
thing,
put it up.
and
In front
I
of the
put
door.
it.
I
Yeah, I
do
put
that
it by
too.
the door on the kitchen table somewhere.
Yeah.
So that I'm not carrying that around because I
Yeah.
will lose it.
Yeah.
I
I've
usually
lost
do
it
that
before.
too. And if
Yeah.
there's multiple,
Temporarily.
if there's multiple showings happening, and I'm the one that opened the box, I will pop that
Same.
sucker back in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's- yeah.
You should. And agents, if you're coming in and there's already a showing and the first agent does put the lock back in the lockbox, don't get mad at them. It's tracking who's opening
Right.
and locking
Yeah.
the door.
Definitely.
It's a huge liability thing.
Yeah, some
For
agents
sure.
are like, you can't just give it to me.
Absolutely
Blah,
not.
blah, blah.
No, yeah.
Well, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if you're actually an agent.
An agent,
just 'cause
yeah,
you have-
yeah.
for sure.
You tell me.
Huge risk on
Right.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if I'm second, I won't like go ask for the
No,
key.
yeah.
'Cause
I-
they were the first ones to log in.
And I
so.
think
Yeah.
it's realtor etiquette to be nice to each other,
Yes.
especially in this market.
Oh, yeah.
There are some agents, like you mentioned, locking the door. I have some agents that lock the door and will not let anybody in, which I respect, especially
I don't
when,
do that.
When COVID was a thing, I said, hey, do you guys mind? If not, it's totally fine, we'll wait. But if you're in there for like 30 minutes,
Oh, yeah.
you got a line now building up, like you really...
Well, I do think
Needs
it's
to
important
be.
to know that like when you schedule it, you know if it allows overlapping
Right.
showings. If it does not allow overlapping showings, I do lock the door.
Right,
and
and
I
nobody
need-
should
yeah,
be coming in.
Correct.
For
Yeah,
sure.
but you will have agents that try to come in 5 or 10 minutes early before
Right.
their appointment. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
We're still looking.
It is
Right.
so frustrating
And just
when,
be friendly.
when it's clear that there are overlapping showings, even if someone's not even there, like when you arrive, but you see on the app, like
Yeah.
this appointment allows for overlapping showings. Other people are going to be there. Or I forget the verbiage. But when people deliberately lock it and have people standing outside, like I've had that happen multiple times. I'm like,
Do you not say anything to the agent?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
the other day I like knocked on the door, rang the doorbell 1,000 times. Like,
The
these other
agent could
agents
see
were
me
like,
in the window and I tapped. I was like,
Yeah.
we have an appointment as well,
yeah,
sweetie.
Yeah,
it
you both
makes
have-
Like
me
it's
so
not
mad.
like it's not nice.
so rude. It is
and
so rude.
We all have multiple showings in a day, so it's like if this one, if I'm not on time for this one, we're gonna be late to the next one. It's like
Yeah.
you do, and it's like you
Just
do not
be
have the
friendly
right.
with each other.
Yes, you just don't have
Yeah.
the right to
And
dispose
it's-
someone else's time.
I
And at
was
least
at-
acknowledge, I feel like if you're the agent that wants to have the private showing, which is, I get it, at least be respectful, let the client or the other agent know, hey, do you mind giving us 5 more minutes?
Yeah,
We'll be
she
done.
didn't do any of that.
I think as
Don't
long as you
ignore 'em.
acknowledge our existence, that
But
it's
also, like right now, if you know that there's overlapping showings, it's kind of unacceptable to do that.
Yeah, it's
Like,
that's
you
not,
don't. You're right. At that
hard.
point, well, it's the seller. It's the seller's
It's-
house,
right.
and the seller has approved overlapping showings
it's
in
not
order
your-
for them to get the most people in the door. So in a way, you're cheating the seller.
Yeah.
When you do that.
It's not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're worried about COVID, put your mask back on.
for sure.
Just
yeah.
totally fine. I'm totally fine with
Yeah.
that.
No, I
Totally.
agree.
Yeah.
Another thing to do is providing feedback. So try to do this within 24 hours of seeing the home. Just give feedback on showing time for the listing agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's a big
sure.
one.
And I think we've talked about this. There are times where I'm like just the person that clicks like not interested just because I don't have time. But I do agree that it is important to put not interested. And if there's like a reason like close to a major road or floor plan didn't work or power lines, something like that, to just
Yeah.
go ahead and put that in quickly. Yeah, location. Even if it's just like 1 or 2 words, just something because we have the ability to publish those straight to clients.
Yeah.
So
For
it
sure.
is more
I
helpful.
definitely, because it doesn't frustrate me because I get it. Like we're in such a quick market right now.
Yeah.
But when I don't get any feedback, and if the house isn't selling, and I'm not getting feedback, and I'm having to my seller
Follow
wants
up.
me to tell
Yeah.
him something. I'm like, why don't we have an offer yet? It is kind of hard. So I have gotten better about like making sure, like, even if my client's not interested, it's explaining why, and even giving them tips. Like, maybe I do think, it could show better if they, removed all the dog toys or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
So try to help the seller out as well, even if your client's not interested.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I just want to...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's
No,
okay.
go ahead.
I was going to pop back up to like with showing houses, and this kind of all hand in hand. It's okay. Is remind your client that this is not their home yet. So I feel like I have clients like, yes, you can kind of go through like the drawers and all that because like, well, no.
Not go through them. You can open them.
Like
kitchen drawers
I'm
and
talking about
cabinets,
kitchen.
not dresser drawers.
Not dresser drawers. Yeah, sorry.
Any drawer that would stay with the house.
I have people like they want to know if it's like an easy close or whatever,
Right.
Drawer in the kitchen, which I get, but you don't need to like sift through things.
Oh, absolutely not.
And furniture does not, usually stay with the house.
So there's no need to test it.
So there's no need to be like lounging on the couch.
Oh, yeah.
So I tell my clients, especially with kids, like, hey, just remember, we're here touring their home and we're here to look at like the house, not the stuff in it.
And if you think you're doing that and like that, it's not a big deal because no one knows. One, your agent knows, and so it's like we're kind of weirded out by that. But two, you may be on candid camera,
there
basically.
could be cameras.
So not only may there be cameras, and if you don't see cameras, then their Google Nest or their Alexa or whatever that is, those could also just be voice recording.
Right.
And so I've had experiences where I've been on the listing side where I've had a client that he could hear everything that was going on during all the showings.
Yeah.
Well, and
it's
sellers know how they leave their house. If they come
Right.
home and a toilet seat is up, they know someone used that toilet. And we leave I always put the lids down. So like not everyone puts lids down, and so I would know if someone used my bathroom if they didn't put the lid down. And so
this is
things like that.
Something that we did not talk about on here, but showing houses, and this is realtor etiquette, is it okay to use the restroom during a showing if you really have to?
As a realtor?
Yeah.
I don't think I would.
I absolutely try not to, but
if it was like an emergency,
if
maybe.
I've gone to like 8, there's times I show 11 homes with no like break. I will pee in the bath. Yeah, I think it's okay.
I certainly have. I try to all.
I try not.
I try if I know one of the houses. If I like have to go and I'm like, okay, this house is occupied, but the next house is vacant. I can make it to the next house. Like, I will certainly try to do that. But
I try not to.
If we are in a full day of showings, it totally cannot
And it
help.
honestly depends on the client I'm with too, because like if not that
I will beat them. I will
not
Mario Kart it to that next house to beat them by 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, not that I don't trust any of my clients, but like I don't want them in the house by themselves, or me to feel like I left them unoccupied or anything like that. But like my good friends, like that I just showed in my house, I was like, hey guys, like I'm like we were in the middle, like kind of in country, and I was like, I'm about to like go,
burst,
like, I gotta go.
Yes.
So I did, but I'm really good about making sure I clean everything up, everything's good, sanitary, all that.
Mm-hmm. I just thought that was interesting. We didn't really talk about that.
Especially open houses. Like if you're in an open house for 3 hours, like I mean, what are you supposed to do? I don't know.
For sure.
Can't help it.
The next one, submitting offers. Call the listing agent to let them know you'll be sending an offer. I do this even before I even show a house. If my clients like are absolutely in love with this house and I know we'll be submitting, I always just call just to like see how many offers they have, what else they need if it's not in the MLS. And it's always really surprising to me on the list side when I get offers and I have not talked with the agent, because like that's one of the first things I do, either before showing or when I actually know that they're going to submit an offer. I call the agent. I get them on the phone. Like it's just, it's really surprising.
I don't know if that comes from like either an overconfidence or a lack of confidence in the offer they're submitting. They're either submitting such a good offer that they think like, I don't need to ask about terms because my terms are going to be so good, or they know like we're going to be beat on this, but I'm submitting it because my clients want me to.
I see it as a form of laziness.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, it's like to me, it's like both.
I still always reach out though. I say, hey,
oh, absolutely.
Build that rapport. It's huge.
Rapport is so important.
Well, because even if you think you're not confident on terms, I've had it to where it's like, oh, like that would do it, and like, yep, that would be, you'd be competitive, and so I'm like, fantastic. So then you have had that chance to build rapport and get a little more information.
And we want to work. I mean, this is for 30 days, right? We want to work with someone who we know, love, and trust. Also, we want to work with someone who we know can get on the phone and have a conversation, or text us in a reasonable amount of time, or
Well, we've talked about this recently. Is sometimes a few of us have gotten offers accepted that maybe we weren't the best offer, like price wise,
100%.
but because we were the best agent communication wise, that's why they were more confident in going with our contract. So it makes a big difference.
It does, for sure. And you know exactly how, like, if problems arise during the transaction, if an agent up front is getting or like has good communication, you know how they're going to react when problems happen, which something's going to happen throughout the transaction.
Because I'm all about making it an easier transaction for all parties.
Oh yeah,
oh absolutely,
for sure.
We all want the same thing.
Yeah,
that's like the thing to keep in mind.
Yep.
Everybody will be happy. Because there are some things, so like the first thing I do when I know my client wants to make an offer is there's questions you should be asking, and it's not just to make the best offer, but again to let the agent know like, hey, we are, we're serious because we are coming in and asking, what does the seller want, basically. Right. So you should always find out, like, are there other offers? Is there a deadline?
Lease back.
Lease back. Does the seller need one?
Well, I think before you ask any of those questions, it's super important to read the MLS instructions.
Right.
So, a lot of times nowadays, agents are being really specific in private remarks of like, we must have a lease back of 63 days and 2 hours or whatever it is. It's like they're so specific. And you must do this and you must do that. And then a lot of times they'll even provide that additional document and transaction desk. So I think it's really important to read that before you ask the agent anything, because if you don't, then that agent's like, I left offer instructions and then it just annoys them and they're starting off on a bad foot.
100%. And how an agent fills in an offer, like,
oh my gosh,
if it's incomplete, like, I'm like, has this person ever written an offer? Why? Like, why is page 11 blank or whatever that page is?
It's 11. It is 11.
It's like, what? Yeah. So you can also know, like, that's a very good indicator.
That's a great point. And that's actually something I remember when we first got into like Ignite and stuff like that. Like they said, like the page where it has the other co-agents info, like fill out the other agent's information too.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to.
That's like the most tedious part. Like,
and so it's like offers where they don't.
I get so annoyed.
I get so annoyed. Yeah. And I tell the seller, like, well, here's another thing. I mean, this is a good offer, but actually it's not a solid offer because, the agent didn't fill it in correctly.
Right. I would say I'm pretty lenient sometimes. Like what was it? They left something blank. I think it was like they left the address to the title company blank, even though I had it in offer instructions. Like we always put them together just to know, like, here's how to fill it out. And they left it blank, which I kind of was like, why would they leave it blank? Like, it's
even if you have to Google it, like if you know it's
right.
Usually
lawyer's title and Richardson, it's like you look that up and you get the address.
Yeah.
It's like you know.
Yeah.
I just ended up filling it out, but it was one of those things like I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I know that we're all writing like so many offers for each one of our clients. Like we all have clients that we've written 6 or 7 offers for. And so it's time consuming to do all those little details, but those details can absolutely make the difference. And so, it's really important.
Yeah. And also know, because sometimes there might be 2 agents involved, like there's an agent 1 and an agent 2, and maybe you need to contact agent 2. So make sure you're contacting the right person.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It'll usually specifically say in the MLS, please call agent 2 with all questions. I'm like, okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't tell you all this the other day. I had a client that was interested in a multifamily property, and there were not pictures posted online, or maybe just one picture, whatever.
So scary.
So there were listing 1 and listing 2. So I reached out to listing. It said to reach out to listing 2. I told you guys that part of the story.
Oh yeah.
I reached out to listing 2, didn't hear back. So then I reached out to listing 1. They said reach out to 2. I said I did. So that all got handled, whatever. But then I was like, do either one of you, like, while you're walking it, did you take pictures or anything? Like, just something. There's no point wasting everyone's time for a showing. And both of them said, neither one of us have actually seen the inside of the property. I'm like, how do you list a home without seeing the inside of it? Like, what? I was so confused. But that ultimately, to me, I was like, I told my client, I was like, that is a whole mess that we, like, let's find something else, basically. Like, that's, like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the property. That's not good representation for their sellers, but it's also scary for us because they don't know anything about it.
Well, that's the thing. Who's living in the house? Is someone living in the house?
Yeah, there were 2 tenants.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, we hope.
Tenants is a different story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so the next one that we have on here is talking about response times. I think we can all agree, like, you don't have to be the 24/7 agent. Like, if someone texts you at 10 o'clock at night, it's not like you need to, like, respond right then and there.
Absolutely
That's not necessary. But it is one of those things that, I try to respond either in the same day, like if we're in an appointment, which I have like the text responses.
Yeah,
so those are really helpful. Yeah, that say, hey, I'm in an appointment, I'll call you as soon as possible. Or as soon as I'm done, like I'm checking through my voicemails, whatever. Either trying to respond the same day or just a quick, text, I think goes a long way. Like I'm not available to talk on the phone, but if you want to text for a quick response, like that works too.
Right.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, I think as long as you're within 24 hours. So,
yeah. Well, and I think that's the number one complaint I've heard from non-real estate agents is why did you not want to use that real agent again? Is because they were never communicating with them.
Yeah, I don't understand when people don't answer their phone, or agents. I'm like, do you not want to sell this house?
I've had listing agents turn off their phone on like Sunday. And
I had
cannot
that.
get a hold of them, and I'm like,
Well,
this is literally.
I closed a transaction with a mom and son team that they at least communicated ahead of time. They we do not work
Right.
on Sundays. Doesn't matter.
They
Does
put
not
a note.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my
And I can respect that.
at least I know if I'm contacting them on Sunday, like they're gonna get back to me Monday morning.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if the offer deadline is Sunday and you're not...
It was
Yes,
Sunday at
same for
7.
mine.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But then you
Hard.
should be responding.
Their whole thing was like they had left all the instructions. Like they're like, we left you all the information you would need. Just submit your highest and best.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Got
okay.
it.
This is
Well,
something I
But
do.
they were lovely to work
At least
with.
they were ahead of
Yeah.
time on it.
Yeah.
Well, at least you knew too. Like
Yeah.
mine, she just turned her phone off, and there was no telltale signs about it.
Gosh.
One thing I do with realtor to realtor before we change really fast is that if we lose an offer, especially right now we're losing multiple offers.
Right.
It's sometimes, I mean, a lot of times it's out of our control. I'll always email them back once they email and say, hey, and I'm just asked for a time to talk about the offer to see what we could have done to make it stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been cool because a lot of realtors don't call you back, but I have had a few, especially in the last few months,
you
call
tips.
me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or just say like, hey, you submitted a strong offer, but like we took an offer 300 over. Like there
Yeah.
was nothing you could do.
Right. Yeah.
And so like to have, but also like again, we're gonna probably work with this person again, and so all of them have been like, hey, I've had it where they come back in a week, like, hey, a listing agent across the street just called me. I know your client was like interested in this home. So these relationships just are so important for us, and just to be kind and ask for that help, right? To be like, hey, everyone needs a little bit of support. Just is that rapport between agents is so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I have a listing that's coming up in a neighborhood that one house kind of at the same price point has been sitting for like a little over a week, and another house is a little bit more expensive, went under contract in like 3 days. And so I was like, well, it still may not have been like a fantastic offer. It still may not have been multiple offers, and they're under option. So usually most listing agents will not say anything during option period because you're like, let me make it through this first.
Yeah, for sure.
But I text the agent and I explained like, hey, I have an upcoming listing in the same neighborhood. I don't need to know terms, but did you at least get multiple offers, or did you just get the one? And she said, we did get multiple offers. And then she said, if your listing is coming up within the next few weeks, she said, I'd be happy to like send your information on to the offers that lost.
Yes.
And I was
Oh,
like,
that's
great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
I had that
it's
happen.
just so nice.
I'm
to
like, because if I
have
can
that
sell it off market
rapport.
even, then it's like for a solid offer.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
We have a benchmark number that we have to hit. And it's like, if I can get that off market, then fantastic for
That
everyone.
happened to me too before. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
And I know you brought this up too, Brandie, but like weekends and evenings, do y'all expect like a quick response then? Or like what's like y'all's normal like cutoff
Response to
time?
offers.
Or just respond to
Questions.
to
My
communication,
clients are
clients
reaching out
or
to me.
agent to agent.
If I'm negotiating an offer, I will work until like 9, as long as
Right.
it's negotiating.
Right.
If I get home at 6 and I'm gonna cook dinner with the kids, my phone goes away. It's on loud, but most of the time, unless it's a pertinent call, I try not to respond until
Absolutely.
1.
Yeah.
And then I'm in my office by like 7:30 every morning and start talking back at 8:00.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, we do have to, especially with having kids, and you have to have
Yep.
that boundary.
Oh, for sure. What about you, Maggie?
I'm not very good at that, but
Maggie
I do
is sometimes
whatever-
emailing at like
whatever.
2:00 in the morning.
if
I'm like, oh my
well, it
gosh.
depends. Like if we're like I've negotiated up until like 11 p.m., but I won't be
Yes.
texting an agent at like super late.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, I think that's important too. What about you, Jake?
I don't think I would text super late unless again it was like something important. If
Yeah.
they text me first and I am
Yeah.
accessible and I'm like at a point to like I'm comfortable talking at that point, I will go ahead and reply. If they text me late and I'm like not in the mood, then they'll get a response in the morning.
Definitely.
Right.
Kind of depends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
it
also
is.
the clients too. If your client's respectful with your time, right?
Right.
I'm more
Yeah.
likely going to respond if I have clients that I know will work me to the ground till 1 a.m. asking
Oh.
questions.
Oh,
asking
yeah.
questions.
Those you
Yeah.
shut it off. Yeah.
Those are the ones that I
Yeah.
will respond to in the morning.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely.
working for 4 more hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I included, I have in my email, when, especially with buyers, because it just seems that buyers are the ones that need you outside of normal hours
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
I have an email, and in there it like has like, here's my normal like business hours
Yeah.
are from 9 to 7. So they're already getting me that time. And I said, if I'm available, afterwards, or if you need me, like I try to be responsive. Otherwise, you'll hear from me the next day. Weekends are kind of like by appointment, and same thing, like they may hear from me. So it's like I'm giving them, I feel like, a fair amount of time already, but it's like just letting them know, like, hey, respect my time too.
Right.
And like you said, like, and clients especially will like kind of take advantage if you do respond at 10 o'clock at night. One time, they're going to expect a response every time they do that. So,
I have started to do that in the initial email, like say my business hours, and I've noticed a difference too. But like the other day, they were having DocuSign issues, and we were trying to get this offer in before the next day, but it was time sensitive, so
and
they
that's
texted
the things
me.
too, that like it is time sensitive.
Oh,
right. And we understand that.
We are going to work till midnight, but they're like, if we're not negotiating or something an offer, there's no reason for us to have to work 12 hours a day.
That's why I'm happy, at least here in Texas, like our option periods now end at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing that has to happen after 5 p.m. I mean, except for like Brandie
getting an
said,
offer
the
accepted
offer,
or negotiated.
The only time I would work probably, until like 9-ish is with the offer situation. Otherwise, it can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And then I think it's also important then you are also respecting other agents' time. So like if you're an agent that say you work another job 8 to 5 and you're only available to do real estate after 5 and the other agent's not responding to you like at 9 o'clock at night, I mean, don't be mad at them because 9 o'clock is maybe an acceptable time for you to work, but it's not everybody's.
Yeah, we have a coworker who is a flight attendant, single mom, and realtor. Like I think that's the hard thing too, is people forget that we also have 500 things going on. So
for sure,
just be respectful of everyone else's time.
Definitely. And I've started to, if it's later, I will email the agent, and then a lot of times they email me right back, and I'm like, okay, we're on the same page, but I'm glad
that's a good point.
I started doing that too. That way in the morning it's at the top. But then if they are working, it comes in, and then we can text.
Definitely.
No, I love
I
that.
think it's fantastic.
Okay, anything else on realtor etiquette before we go into, we're going to dive into a little bit of client etiquette, how clients can... Anything else on realtor? I think
that's it. Confirming receipt of emails.
Or confirming receipt of offers.
So just
that's
like
a big one.
Normal business practice, like be professional.
Respond in a timely manner.
Be professional. And I'm not saying you have to wear like, I
let's not even get
into
into clothes. I mean,
well, I think it's important to know like jeans and stuff, like you can, as long as it's dressed up well, but this is a business, right? Like you make sure you're not showing
But if
up.
I'm showing like one of my closest friends or someone that's seen me look cute for 30 times and they ask me for a last minute showing and I'm accommodating that, but I've just been at the gym, you're going to see me in gym clothes.
Yes, 100%.
Totally.
I mean, it's like...
But you don't show up like in your pajamas, like You know what I mean? Like...
I wear white jeans all the time. But white jeans can be dressed up.
Well, don't wear what you normally wear to bed either.
You don't know my life.
Gosh.
Gym clothes too.
But it's just normal business,
Just look professional.
You have to look like a professional, especially if you want that respect from other realtors.
100%. And it will come back to you. How you would be treated.
Okay.
I mean, y'all know I have that story of like the open house agent that I did accommodate my client's last minute showing and literally had to leave the gym to make the showing happen.
You were the agent.
And he thought I was their son in college or something and like addressed me that way. And I was like, I'm the agent. And he like literally was like, oh. I was like, this is so rude.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I've had that happen too, where like I am working out and meet them in my leggings and like they don't respect you the same, which is sad, but they don't.
Which I mean, again, like I understand, but it's like if my clients are not judging me, it's like you shouldn't either.
Yeah,
it's like
I agree.
Totally.
Yeah, because last minute showings happen, so it's like you're gonna get
respect the hustle though.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's talk a tad just briefly about some client etiquettes that we've kind of just more or less like we just feel like we get it, like this is your transaction, but at the same time like don't take advantage of us, like or kind of thing.
I had kind of like a different one for the one that's not necessarily etiquette towards the agent, but during showings, don't like talk overly negative about either the house or like the belongings or picture, like any part of the house.
Probably on camera.
One, you're on camera, but also like two, I'm like, it makes me nervous that even if there isn't a camera, that we're still being recorded, and I'm like, I don't want that agent to either think that that's one, my views, because those are your own. I may feel differently, but two, it just like it puts us in a weird position if there was any sort of recording or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's like
for sure.
Whatever you want to say about the house, like I always tell my clients, like walk through, remember on camera, we will discuss the house once we exit it.
Yeah, well, especially when it's not about the actual house, but like the contents in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Or if they see a picture of the seller and they're like, make a comment about this way the seller looks, it's like, none of that's necessary. So
Yeah.
I've had clients that have like talked down about like furniture choices and things like
Yeah.
that. And I'm like,
Or
oh,
smells
I'm like,
and
we're not really here to look at that. Let's focus on the house. Like,
Yeah,
I try to
for sure.
redirect as much as possible.
Yeah. One of the big things is showing up on time for showings, and like we have multiple clients, so we're not just working with one. So when you're running late, communicate.
And show up.
Show
oh
up.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Like how many, I know I've had like no shows happen where they text me like 30 minutes later, like, oh, we can't make it. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh, yes.
I drove all the way out here. So I now, actually, this may be a little bit of realtor etiquette. Before I head to a showing or appointment or anything with a
You
client,
text them.
I text them at least an hour before and say, hey, see you soon for our showing at, whatever time, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And I'm like, respond.
I think
And
I'm
I
gonna start
resend the
sharing my
address,
ETA.
too. That way they have the address, they can pull it up
Yeah.
on their map, and they can go.
I think I haven't started doing this, but one thing I thought of last week is I'm gonna start sharing my ETA when I leave, hoping that they'll also share theirs back. So I
Yeah.
know whether or not they're
Like
running
for an
on time.
hour.
Yeah, that's a good
so
idea.
you
Yeah.
can watch them.
Exactly.
see
I'm
where they're
like,
at.
break it on time.
Well-
I mean, because I took one of Maggie's showings one time while she was
I
out of town, and I'm like waiting, and I had JC with me, and so she knew that, and the client knew that like the night before, so it was like part was okay. So Jason and I were playing like hopscotch or something in the driveway, and I looked down, I'm like, it's been 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was so
I like
annoying.
text Maggie, she calls, and the client had like canceled and like not really like
Told anybody?
yeah.
It was I forget where I was. Like I didn't have a lot of
You were in
service or
at
something.
the lake or something.
And like they had texted, but it was like last minute.
It was like at 11:30 at night they had text, and it like didn't come
Like at the
through.
time of
yeah.
the
So I'm like,
disappointment.
really
this is
annoying.
not great.
Luckily,
so yeah.
it wasn't that far. Where is it?
No, it was
in, like,
so
that- yeah.
close for me, but still, it was
still,
just
Very
Yeah.
annoying. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like a waste of time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things, small, but
it's
big.
very important.
Yeah.
It's more like what Maggie said. We have multiple people that we're helping, so we might have 4 showings with you, but we might have 3 showings after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're running late and then
Just
we're
pushes
running
all
late, then
that.
that makes us look unprofessional
Yeah.
for our next
It's a
client.
domino effect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you only have so long on your showing window, so if
Yeah.
you've timed them all out
Oh,
appropriately,
yeah.
and like all of a sudden you're late to one, it's like you may
Yeah.
not have if it's one that doesn't allow overlapping showings right now, it's like you may have lost your spot.
Right.
And
Yeah.
sellers will, like, when the time is coming up, like, they're sitting outside
Waiting
Yeah.
for
for you
waiting
to
go back in.
for us to
Yeah.
to go back in.
That's a big
so,
one.
For
yeah.
sure.
The other one I kind of thought of is like open house sign-ins. Like I know when we do open houses, like a lot of people are like, oh no, I'm not giving you my info, but I try to explain to people like, okay, if you don't want me to contact you, which that's totally fine, I'll make a note, won't even follow up, whatever. But you're coming into someone's house. I don't know who you are. Not only is it a safety concern for me because you're coming into this house, but also if something gets stolen, something happens in the house,
Right.
whatever, I have to be able to give that report or that list of people to the police or my sellers. So it's like, please just sign in. Don't make it
Yeah.
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
And if you just say, hey, look, I'm working with a realtor, and then give us your realtor's information.
Give us the realtor's
even
card. That's what I do.
better,
Yeah.
then yes. But don't push on not
Yeah.
signing in because there's reasons why we ask.
Yeah,
For sure.
Absolutely. It's not just to put you on our mailing list or whatever. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
In case
Yeah.
you steal those prescription drugs out of that,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
that cabinet.
Real. Which
Yeah.
I'm like, would they really give me like accurate information if that was
Wow.
their intent?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe.
But at least I did my job by
Yeah.
asking and getting whatever info they were willing
Yeah.
to give me. So
I think we touched on the other one earlier for me. Like you talked about like opening cabinets and things like that. Opening cabinets, yes. Digging through drawers, no. Digging through any personal belongings or moving things in closets, I'm like, no. Let's not do that. You
Yeah.
totally can look at it. You're gonna have a chance to get a better look if you actually get the contract, and then I think like you
Right.
have a little bit more leeway in like closet spaces to kind of move things and see like what the storage actually looks like.
For sure.
But if you're just looking at the house, don't go through. I mean, it's like you should
You
never
don't
really
need to
go through
touch
things.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's in like bathroom cabinets and
I know.
drawers.
It
I'm
always
always
weirds me out
I
when
don't
clients
do
do
it.
that. I'm like holding my own hands, like, ooh.
Yeah, and it's likely they moved whatever they needed to,
Oh,
like
God,
the
but you never
sellers, but
know.
I still feel just weird.
yeah.
The bathroom, did that die?
Yeah, and
No.
with showings also, like if you have kids, like we do our best to kind of rein in the kids, but they're your kids. So if you could
Yeah.
just help us out, your kids should not be running around the house and touching things and
Yeah,
possibly
definitely.
breaking things. So
Yeah.
For sure.
I think one thing too for client etiquette is to respect our time. I know we talked about this briefly,
Right.
but please don't be texting us at 10 o'clock at night or 4 in the morning expecting an answer. You can, but just know that we will get back to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I set this expectation, like when I first meet with a client, like we're going to see, or I've started to, we're seeing max 3 houses in one day, and only send me the ones that you're like, I want to send an offer for.
Right. And I think that's huge, because while some people go, oh, so you just don't want to show me all the homes? And it's like, it's not that. Like, yes, I want to show you all the homes, but I want to use the best like time that we have as agents than you have. Like, you don't even want, trust, I tell my buyers, I'm like, you don't want to look at